Hey everybody, Aaron Chandra, founder of Lead Gen Pros here. In this video, we're going to be going over 5 different tactics that you can use to convert your online real estate leads into buyer contracts or listings. Now, I was prompted to make this video when I really realized, why is it that you can have 2 realtors in the exact same market with the same strategy, same offer, funnel, ads, etc., and one of them sees success and another one doesn't? Now, it's not the ads or the strategies that we're running, but oftentimes it's the realtor and their ability to convert, right? So in this video, we're going to be going over a couple things that you can do to convert your leads into buyer contracts or listings while ensuring that, hey, you're going to stay organized, you're going to save time, and just as a general note, don't commit to being able to run paid ads unless you can commit to actually calling your leads for at least 15 minutes a day. Ideally, block off 30 minutes because as you fill up your funnel, you're going to need to call your leads, right? It sounds stupid for me to say that, but, it's maybe not common sense for everybody. So number one, the goal here is to understand, firstly, the goal of why you're running paid ads in the first place, right? Now, the goal here is actually to get in front of a home seller or a home buyer if they're actually considering buying or selling. And I'm going to give you a couple examples here. So say you have a sample offer for a home valuation, right? It's a pretty classic offer, tried and tested, it works in just about every market. Now the goal here is when this lead comes in is to understand your potential client's needs and if they're actually considering selling. If they are considering selling, understand their needs as to why, but more importantly, think of what value you can provide for them. And here's a specific example of providing some value. So one thing that you can do is provide market comps of homes that sold recently in the area. Again, if they're considering selling, but that's the goal though. You want to provide them with some value. You're not just going to text them a value of their home or give them a number over the phone and say, hey, yeah, your house is worth about $550, right? They can get this info online for free instantly. So why would they want to go through the hassle of talking to a realtor, especially a salesy one who's going to tell them the exact same thing? This is a website called Honest Door. If you're a realtor, great. This is a tactic that, or this is rather not a tactic, but this is something that you can use to get some information about a possible property, but it's also something that your possible home seller has access to themselves, right? So the value proposition here should be that, hey, when you're talking to your prospect, that these valuations may not be 100% accurate because they don't take into account recent renovations, remodels, updates to the kitchen, developments to the basement, backyard stuff, hardwood flooring, and etc., right? These are only things that, you can see when you actually, look at the home in person, right? So your goal then becomes 2 things. One is to provide as much value as possible, right? So in terms of market comps and research in terms of what's going on in the area and so forth. And then number 2, the thing that most realtors unfortunately don't do when they run paid ads is to make the ask for an in-person appointment. If they decline or refuse an in-person appointment, consider doing an online video evaluation with a tool like Loom or BombBomb, which I know a ton of realtors use today and see success with, where you can actually show your research on the computer. And again, just confirm with the person, hey, if you like a true number of what we can get for your home, I'd be happy to stop by for 5 minutes on X day just to finalize the evaluation, right? And even if they decline you showing up to their house right now, maybe they got to paint or it's messy or whatever it is, continue to follow up over the coming weeks, right? Give them updates on their local area in terms of homes that have sold, again, those comparables, especially of those that are similar to their property. Right, so that's the biggest tip there, right? Understanding the goal of why you're running paid ads. Number 2, use a proven follow-up script. So don't wing your conversations, despite how skilled you may be or how skilled you think you may be. It's important to understand that converting online leads is different than working with referrals or your sphere of influence because there's no trust yet, right? Doesn't mean there's not going to be any trust overall. It just means that there's no trust yet. And this needs to be built by providing value. So what you can do here is use a simple seller script. There are a ton online. If you guys would find this valuable, I'd be happy to break down a copy of our seller script that we use for our internal clients. But really, the goal on these scripts is to provide value, right? You're not going to go straight for the kill, right? So example of I see realtors doing quite frequently is, hey, so you clicked my ad for a home valuation. When do you want to list your house? And that's not the goal, right? Traditionally, there's no trust built, so if you ask them that question right off the bat, oh, I'm not interested, I was just curious, right? They don't want to feel like they're getting sold to, right? So that's tip number 2. Tip number 3 is use a CRM, and then in brackets we got properly, right? Because a lot of people have a CRM, but I think the vast majority of realtors we work with don't use their CRM to its full capabilities. So, your notebook is cool, sticky notes are cool, Excel sheets are cool, but throw those out the window if you actually want to convert your leads. So you're going to want to use an actual CRM, and an actual CRM, or a good one at least, is going to help you keep track of all your leads in terms of where they came from, what time they clicked your ads and got into your funnel. It's going to integrate with your paid advertising platform, whether Meta, Google, and so forth. It's going to give you access to better metrics. Ideally, it's one that gives you a local phone number and lets you communicate with your leads through the platform, because that way you can record all your conversations in one spot. And some of these tools will also be able to record your phone conversations, right? Next, you're going to be able to set up task reminders so you never forget to follow up with your leads, which is something that a lot of people forget. And lastly, you'll be able to see your pipeline in terms of where leads are at in different stages. So you're going to know what exactly is closing when, and you'll be able to forecast your revenue. If you're not using a real CRM, you're at a huge disadvantage already. We use Go High Level. It's like $99 a month. You can do a ton of stuff with it, including building landing pages, or it's free for all our Lead Gen Pros clients. Alternatively, if you're a realtor, Follow Up Boss is another great tool, right? Number 4, track your metrics and optimize for the right ones. So a really big mistake I see a lot of realtors and even new agencies doing as well is they only track lead cost. And this is actually a really big mistake, because if people see, especially agencies, they see like a $5 lead cost, they get excited, take a screenshot, post it on their website as a testimonial, and it's like, you really shouldn't really care about lead cost that deeply, because what you want to actually optimize for is your cost per conversation, your cost per in-person meeting or listing appointment, or ideally your cost per acquisition, right? Which is like, how much money do you have to put in to get a new buyer contract or a listing? And once you have that number, you can now create your system, right? Where you say, hey, if it costs me $1,000 to get a listing, if I put in $5,000 over the next 6 months, I'm going to get 5 listings, right? That's the goal of a paid advertising system, is to create a system where you can have inputs and outputs, inputting X amount of money, outputting Y amount of listings, right? Yeah, in terms of how you do that, there's a few ways, right? So you can do that with a good CRM, again, like Go High Level, or you can actually create a Google sheet or an Excel sheet. Here's one that we make for all of our clients and we track on the back end. You can't see any of the metrics, so we blur that out, but these are some of the metrics that we track, so feel free to pause the video and take a look at that in terms of what metrics you may want to track for your business. Number 5, this is a really important one as well, is you need to be data-driven. Now, anytime you're running ads for yourself, if you're not looking at the right data, you're basically gambling with your money, right? If someone says to you, hey, like my lead quality sucks, everyone's just looking, no one's serious, people don't answer their phone, you need to know the numbers of how many people say that, right? So you can't just blanket, if you get 100 leads, you can't just blanket it and say, hey, my lead quality sucks. How many people are looking? How many people are serious? How many people aren't answering their phone, and so forth? And a lot of people will get like 10 or 20 leads and they'll make a claim like this, and it's like your sample size is probably too small at 20 leads, right? So I would challenge you, if this is something that you've come across in the past, is to look at your last 100 leads, and if you don't have 100 leads yet, your sample size is probably too small to speak with any level of certainty. But what you're going to do is the following exercise, right? So what you can walk through, and this is more so on the troubleshooting side, is like, hey, if you think your lead quality is not great, you want to see where you're getting stuck in this funnel. Look where you're getting stuck in the process, right? So A, is the lead responding as number 1. If they didn't respond, right, is their contact info correct? If their contact info is not correct, all right, maybe you have a lead quality problem at that point. But if their contact info is correct, in that you call them, it goes to their voicemail, and it's the same person's name who actually signed up, then we know that that's the right contact, right? And in this case, we can look at speed to lead, right? So how many times, firstly, speed to lead is how fast did you call them? And then in terms of your cadence, how many times did you call them, right? A lot of realtors will call their leads 2 or 3 or 4 times in the span of 2 weeks, and they'll say, oh, the person didn't answer, they're probably not interested, right? And depending on what your front end offer looks like, there's probably some intent behind the information they filled out, right? They may have entered their address, their timeline to sell, their relationship to the address, and their name and phone number. Why would they do that by accident, right? Maybe they did, right? But chances are they do want to get that information, but you just haven't had enough attempts to actually connect with them, right? And here are some possible solutions, right, in case if you're experiencing the issues above. So the lead info isn't correct. Okay, you're probably going to want to add more qualification questions, which again will increase your cost per lead, but will also increase correct submissions. If the lead is not responsive, how fast did you contact them and how many times, right? Doesn't have to be immediate, but typically the faster the better, right? So if a lead comes in on Monday morning, you call them on Thursday evening, they're not going to remember they clicked your ad, right? So if they don't respond, it's not their fault, it's your fault. If the lead isn't responsive at all, how many times did you attempt to contact them, right? Traditionally, 5 attempts in your first 7 days is normal. At least once a day for the first 3 days is standard, right? And lastly, one more thing here, ninja tip is double dial all your leads. So that means when a lead comes in, you're going to call them once. If they don't pick up the first time, call them back a second time right away. This might seem excessive, but this is what the highest converting realtors do to actually get a hold of their leads. Because remember, they opted into your ad, right? So there's definitely some intent there to see what you're offering, right? Now, hopefully here, this gives you a good idea of what you can do by being data-driven, right? Because now you can isolate a specific variable in your marketing campaign that's not working versus mistakenly making changes to your offer, ad copy, or graphics, which is oftentimes not the issue. Usually it's the conversion in terms of what comes next. So hopefully if you made it this far in this video, you found these 5 tips useful. You can implement these things in your very own business. If you want to work with us in the Lead Gen Pros team, click the link down below. There will be a 15-minute calendar link where you can book a call with myself. We'll walk through what your current Facebook, YouTube, Google ad strategies look like today, whatever it is you're doing, assess what your goals are, and see if we have the right solution for you. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.